Hello and welcome back to my channel What If Deku 2.0. Join us as we delve into the realms of fanfiction and fantasy, bringing you the best stories and discussions. Today, we're kicking off part 5 of our series, What If Deku Mastered 3 Swords Style Like Zoro? If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more content in the future. The author of this story is GhostKnightTwilight from Archive of Our Own. All the relevant links are in the description. Feel free to say hello to the author on their profile. Now, let's dive into the fanfic. Izuku has been training with Ochako, Momo, and Gyro in preparations for the sports festival. Surprisingly, they had all asked him to teach them sword combat, and he had agreed. Keep in mind that he was only able to teach the basics and had them do some exercises and sword swings before it was time for the festival. Still, they had done well and felt more confident in their endeavors. Izuku also managed to get permission to use his sword for the festival, but only one. Mezu says he was already bending the rules to allow that, so he has to be limited to one sword, which he is okay with. Izuku decided to bring the Wado since he hasn't had the chance to use Kaitsu in combat yet and feels like he should get some more experience using a cursed sword before bringing it into battle. Izuku has been figuring out the opening speech he is going to do in his spare time. He had gone through multiple drafts and ideas, but none of them were even decent. In the end, he thinks he finally has something that should work and hopes it will be good enough. The day till the festival came closer, and Izuku's nervousness and excitement grew. He has one chance a year for 3 years to make a good impression to the world, and he can't waste it. A few days before the sports festival, Izuku was on the phone with his mom as he headed to school. "Yes, Mom, I promised to get some groceries on the way home. Now I got to go. I love you." Izuku gets off the train and heads to school. As he walked, his phone started ringing again. Izuku wonders who it is and checks the caller ID. He is immediately surprised to see the name was someone from his contacts, Uncle Iro. Izuku gets happy and answers the phone. "Hey Uncle Iro, glad to hear from you." "And it's good to hear you as well. Excited for the festival?" "You know it, but also a little nervous." Izuku chuckles. "I know what you mean. Can't tell you how many times I felt the same thing, but I'm sure you will do great. I can't wait to see you perform, and I will be cheering for you in the stands." Izuku smiles until he hears that last part. "Wait, you are going to be here? Like in person?" "Of course, I wouldn't dare miss it. I had to fight tooth and nail to get a ticket, but it's worth it to see you participate in a humongous event." Izuku beams and can't stop smiling. "Then I hope I won't disappoint." "Oh Izuku, you never do. Now I got to go. I will see you later." Later, Uncle Iro. Izuku grins as he puts his phone away. Now he is even more pumped up for the sports festival. Day of the sports festival, in Class 1A's waiting room. Izuku had triple-checked to make sure his sword was securely tied to his belt. He is going to check again since it was the only thing working to calm his nerves. He wasn't the only one as Jiru played with her jacks. Kaminari was bouncing his leg, and Mainta was writing the word for nervousness on his hand and fake swallowing it. "Is everyone ready? We are about to start in 5 minutes." Momo asks, doing her job as vice president. "Yeah, but it's strange how pumped and nervous I am." Kirishima clenches his hand as some of the others nod their heads in agreement. "But I would be more excited if I got to wear my hero costume." Mina tugs on her gym uniform. "Only those is the hero course have costumes while the other courses only have their gym uniforms. We would stand out more if we wore them, so to make it fair for the other students, we will also wear our gym uniforms." Ida chops his arms while explaining. "Actually, I got permission to wear my hero costume." Toru stands up and everyone looks at but only sees the gym uniform. "Wait, your costume is invisible when you wear it, so why bother, Kaminari?" "So that I'm not naked when I want to utilize my quirk." This also helps UA because they can say I was wearing clothes and not streaking on live TV. However, I still have to wear my gym uniform over it, and it's so warm. Toru fans herself and drinks some water to stay hydrated. I don't know whether to be jealous or not. Mina thinks aloud as she watches her friend try to beat the heat. Todoroki decided now is the time to say something and stood up from his seat and went to Izuku. "Hey Midoriya." Izuku, surprised that the usual quiet Todoroki wanted to talk, replied, "Yet Todoroki? Personally, I think that between the two of us, I'm stronger." Todoroki said plainly like it's fact, and everyone else went quiet at the declaration. Debatable, but continue. Izuku narrows his eyes. "I'm not trying to argue, that's just something I observed. However, you have all might in your corner." Todoroki surprises everyone with that, even Izuku. But Izuku kept his cool and replied, "You mean when he asked me to join him for lunch? He just wanted to talk about the Asi." "No, I think you impressed him and now he has got his eye on you. Which is why I promise that I will beat you." Tadakori. Whoa, a declaration of war from one of the strongest in class to another. Kaminari. Hold up, Kirishima stood up and got between them. There is no need to be picking fights. Kirishima holds his arm out, but Todoroki brushes it to the side. "I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to become a hero." Todoroki was about to walk away until Izuku spoke up. "I don't know why you felt the need to say that, but I do know that I won't just give up. Everybody else, our class, the other hero course students, general, support, and business course classes will be giving it their all. I will be going against all that, but I won't falter. My dream is to aim for the top and be the world's greatest swordsman, so I will give it my all and do my best." Izuku stares back as everyone else gets pumped from his words. Todoroki nods and goes back to his seat without saying another word. "Dude, that was so manly." Kirishima lets out a few tears and gets the others to praise Izuku. "Awesome man, Zoro. That's too cool, Kaminari. Way to go, Mina. That's our class president." Takoyami. Izuku blushes and tries to calm everyone down. Bakugo meanwhile scoffs and glares at Todoroki. Soon the speakers crackled to life. "Will all students please head to field? Thank you." Izuku gets serious and opens the door. "Welp, it's time. Let's go." Izuku walks out and the class heads down into the tunnel leading to the stadium field. As they got closer, they heard President Mike talking on the speakers. "Hello there everybody and welcome to the UA Sports Festival. It's that one time in the year where the students at UA High School show off their skills, where these kids try to prove they have what it takes to be the next generation of heroes." President Mike. The crowd erupts in applause and cheer. "I will be one of the commentators for this event, President Mike, and my co-commentator is one of UA's staff and is the homeroom teacher of the Hero Course Class 1A. Erase your head." "How did you talk me into this again?" The tired voice of Shota Aizawa rings out. "Because Principal Nezu said that if you didn't then you wouldn't be allowed to sleep in the teacher's break room anymore." Aizawa grumbled but said nothing else. "For this year's festival, we will be doing things differently for security purposes. The sports festival will now last for 3 days, where each day will showcase only one of the different school year students. For the first day, it's all about the newbie first years. Second day has the slightly more experienced second-year students. Final day, final chance to show off, is the third-year students." President Mike. "Can we just get this over with?" Aizawa starts prepping a huge pot of coffee as he is going to need it. "Now let us introduce the first-year classes who will be taking part of this prestigious festival." President Mike turns to face the tunnels. "The first group, you heard of them, and if you haven't then you must have been living under a rock. They are the class that survived a villain attack. Hero Class 1A. The class comes out and nervously waves to the crowd as the cheered. "I feel like they're putting a lot of pressure on us." Carisha smiles nervously. "That only gets me more excited." Bakugo grins fairly. Next, they may have not been in the spotlight yet, but is now their time to shine. The debut of Hero Class 1B. The sister class comes out with one of them cheering back loudly **tetsu. Now it's time for all eyes to be on us, Tetsu roared as his classmates get embarrassed by him. Be on the lookout for these kids because if they do well enough, they can be moved into the hero classes. General Studies classes 1C, 1D, and 1E. The students come out, surprised they get a good introduction. Izuku sees the kid who declared war on them, Hitoshi Shinso amongst them, hands in his pockets. These brainiacs are the ones who make the cool toys, support classes 1F, 1G, 1H. The support course comes out and Izuku spots Mei in the front. Their eyes land on each other and Mei smiles and waves, which Izuku responded back the same. They crunch the numbers and do the math. Business course classes 1I, 1J, and 1K, and if you are wondering why there aren't many of them, some of them ducked out of this to run some of the stalls or are selling food in the stands. The few business students come out but aren't really paying attention. They all were talking amongst themselves and typing on some laptops. Some of them in the stands waved as they were carrying food and drinks to sell. The referee who will calling the shots is US1 and only Midnight, Present Mike announces as Midnight gets on stage. The first years get the R-rated heroine Midnight. They are so lucky. A man in the crowd says as most of the male crowd and some select females celebrate loudly. Should someone R-rated be allowed in a school? Takoyami says aloud, making Midnight crack her whip. Be quiet. You will speak only if I allow it. Midnight glares, making Takoyami shut up. Good. Now it's time for the opening speech and athlete's oath. This year's representative is Izuku Midoriya. Midnight points her whip at Izuku. Wait, Midoriya is doing the speech, Mina? I mean, he is our class president, so it makes sense. Zoro says as some of the general studies kids scoff. He isn't the only class president. They just choose him since he is in the hero class. General Course Girl said, but Izuku just ignored her. Izuku takes a deep breath before he steps up onto the stage. Good luck. Midnight winks as she steps back a bit to give him room. Izuku steps to the mic and looks at all the students in front of him. When I was asked to do the opening speech, I didn't know what I would say. I had been racking my brain to come up with a good speech, but they ended up being too corny, simple, or boring. Izuku starts, confusing everyone, and they wondered where he was going with this. I tried and tried, but I didn't know what to say. But then I had a thought. What would my classmates say if they were the ones doing the speech? Izuku looks to them, and they get shocked by this. One would try to pump everyone up and hype this up. Izuku sees Kirishima scratch his head in embarrassment. Two would say what an honor it is to be here to partake in the prestigious U.S. Sports Festival. Izuku looks to Momo and Ida nod their heads in agreement. One who would just have Present Mike play some great music over the speakers and not bother with a speech. Izuku watches Jiru reluctantly nod her head that she would have done that. Finally, someone who I have known a long time would have definitely just come up here and say they are going to win, then leave the stage. Izuku looks to Bakugo, who gives him the stink eye. And when I thought about it, that strangely helped me figure out what I want to say. I want to be the best and give it my all to win, and I'm sure many in both my class and the other classes want to do the same. Those in the other classes were surprised that he is also giving them some attention. Hold on, wasn't he the one who stopped the stampede in the lunchroom when the reporters got in? Yeah, you're right. I remember him now. The students in the other courses quietly discuss. I want to win, and I promise you that I will do my best. I have a dream that won't allow me losing here today. All I ask in return is that you do the same and show everyone we have what it takes to be heroes, to go beyond our limits and push ourselves, plus ultra. Izuku takes his bandana off his arm, ties it to his head, and raises his arm. The students smile and join in yelling plus ultra along with him. The crowd also joins in as the stadium explodes in cheers. What an amazing speech from the first year's representative. Let's give a round of applause to all the kids down there. Present Mike announces, and the stadium listened. Clapping ranged out as Izuku stepped to the stage and was congratulated by his classmates. Good job, Izuku, Iro said as he watches from his seat in the stadium. My baby, Inko cried as she watches the festival on TV at home. In a bar far away, in a dark room, Shigaraki watches on his computer. That's him, Sensei, the one who took down the Namu. Is he now? A nearby TV displaying static and had audio only written in the lower left. Flashback to when Shigaraki and Kirigiri had escaped from the Asti. A portal opened in an empty bar as Kirigiri helped Shigaraki through it. Damn it, Shigaraki yelled as he fell on the couch, covered in bullet wounds from getting shot at by Snipe. Young master, calm down. I have the first aid right here. Kirigiri quickly went behind the bar and grabbed a first aid kit. With that in hand, he went back to treat Shigaraki. What's going on? The TV next to the wall turned on suddenly as a voice came through it. The mission failed, Master. We weren't able to kill All Might. The Namu is gone, and I got shot, Shigaraki said as Kirigiri used his quirk to teleport any bullets still stuck in him out of him. Kirigiri, will Shigaraki be okay? The voice asks. Yes, sir. Luckily no vital organs have been hit, but he has lost some blood. Some bandages and time to rest should help heal his wounds, Kirigiri says as he uses some gaze and disinfectant on Shigaraki's wounds. Good. Now, Shigaraki, this may have been a failure, but as they say, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. I shouldn't be surprised that All Might was able to take care of the Namu. The voice. That's the thing, All Might didn't even get to fight Namu. Shigaraki groaned in pain at the disinfectant being applied stun. Oh? Can you elaborate? The voice. There was a secret character, a student swordsman. He fought Namu and found out that the regeneration quirk given to him regens from the head. He used that info to chop off Namu's head and All Might punched it to the moon. With the head gone, the body fell. It doesn't make sense though. He got punched by Namu, was sent flying into the stairs, and was embedded into it. But he still had the strength to fight back. Shigaraki got up after being treated and sat in a bar stool as Kirigiri made himself a drink. The most surprising thing though was that even after all that, the student still wanted to fight. We were about to try and take down All Might without the Namu, but he stared us down. He was badly hurt, bleeding profusely, but still wanted to fight us. We were frozen with fear by his stare. It was like a demon setting its eyes on its next prey. Kirigiri shivered before he took a sip of his cocktail. Those eyes, Shigaraki slammed his hands down on the counter and rested his head on it. The voice was quiet as he listened and processed this. After a few seconds he spoke. Interesting, this student sounds like he is a strong opponent. For now though, you must rest, my pupil, heal from battle. Once you are in good condition, we will replan and gather our forces. We have not lost yet. The TV then turned off. Yes, master. Kirigiri, I think I need a nap. Don't disturb me. Shigaraki got up and Kirigiri nodded his head and bowed. Shigaraki then went into his room and flopped onto his bed, but he didn't immediately fall asleep. He couldn't get the image of Izuku's eyes out of his head, and he laid there in anger until his fatigue was too much and passed out. Then pay attention, Shigaraki, for he may become a great adversary, the voice said as Shigaraki just stared at the monitor. Back to the sports festival stadium. With the speech over, let's start the first event. Midnight walked back to center stage and the stadium cheered. The first even is a qualifier to reduce the number of participants to only a lucky few. This is where many are sent crying to the infirmary once they lose. We will spin a roulette to select the first event. Midnight gestures to a hologram wheel spinning. The crowd cheers and yells out certain events they want to see. The students get nervous at the anticipation until the wheel starts slowing and lands on obstacle course race. It seems like the first event will be an obstacle course race. Erase your head. Would you kindly explain how this will works? No. Then take it away, Midnight, present Mike. Gladly. The obstacle race is an event that all 11 classes participate in. The course is one lap around the stadium itself and obviously has some obstacles. You all start here before the tunnel, and the finish line is at the end of another tunnel that leads back here. The only rule is that you are not allowed to stray off course. Anything else if fair game. Midnight points to the tunnel gate with a race light above it. The gate opens and the light turns red, causing the students to fidget in place. Racers, to your positions. Izuku crouches low and charges up full cowling. This is it. This is where I show the world who I am. The light turns yellow and everyone gets ready. The light finally turns green and Midnight's yells, "Start!" The students start running through the tunnel and the crowd shouts in joy. The race has started, and I am already buzzing with joy. Is there anything that we should be on the lookout for? Erase your head, present Mike. The gate, Aizawa states with zero enthusiasm. The students are pushing each other as they try to pass through the tunnel. Izuku is having to push back and understands what the first hurdle is. This was purposefully designed. The starting gate is forcing us to funnel together and slow us down. The first obstacle. Todoroki thinks too and puts his right foot forward, covering the floor in ice. "I'm frozen stuck," one of the students yells as a group almost exiting the tunnel got their feet stuck in ice. This chance gave Todoroki first place, but as he started to pull ahead, explosions went off behind him. "You can't stop me that easily." Bakugo uses his explosions to leap over the ice. The rest of Class 1 were also able to get over or deal with the ice, plus a few others from the other classes, and Todoroki looks behind him. Seems like even others from different classes were able to deal with the ice. "Ha ha ha, you think you have won, but I was smart? I was following behind you because I knew you would freeze everyone." Minta called out a few feet behind Todoroki in a manic voice. "Now it's my time to shine." Grape asterisk smack asterisk Minta was about to toss his balls, but immediately got hit across the face by a one-pointer robot. Targets acquired. The one-pointer said as more robots from the entrance exam showed up. It's time for the first obstacle. Some of the students may remember them from the entrance exam. It's a robot inferno, present Mike said as the ground shook and some zero-pointers appeared. The general course, some business course, and support course students were freaking out at the sight of the giant robots. "How does UA get the funding needed to make these things, Momo?" "These are the robots everyone else fought in the entrance exam. Sadly, I'm not impressed." Todoroki raised his arm and sent a chilling blast of ice that froze a row of the zero-pointers. He froze them. "Run through the gap he made," random students yells. "I wouldn't follow me. I froze them when they were off-balanced." Todoroki ran through the gap right before they started falling. The students following him were forced to stop and get out of the way. In a single move, Class 1A's Todoroki has taken the lead and halted his opponents. "I hope no one was underneath the zero-pointers." Present Mike zooms in on the wreckage. One of the zero-pointers' torso was getting dense from the inside. Then suddenly Kirishima popped out. "Damn it, man. You need to be more careful. What if someone without a defensive quirk got trapped under there?" Kirishima yelled as he ripped through the robot's metal body. Another dent came through as Tetsutetsu also jumped out as his skin was now metal. "Damn, that one a jerk. Without a quirk like mine, someone could have died." The two teens looked over at one another and got angry. "What the hell? How can I stand out if you have a quirk that is copying mine, Kirishima? You're the one copying me, and I can't make an impression if you do the same thing as me, Tetsutetsu." It appears that only 2 students got caught, but thankfully their quirks saved their hides. The red one is Kirishima, whose quirk lets him harden his body to have the greatest defense with offensive capabilities. The metal one is Tetsu, whose quirk lets his body turn into steel, which makes him a great shield but also dish out damage like a spear. Present Mike tries to give them interesting introductions but didn't pan out well. "Do you even need me here?" Aizawa asked but got no reply. "Aw man, even our intros are the same." Kirishima starts running as his eyes watered up. "Man, those guys are lucky since they don't have to be worried about getting flattened." Kaminari sulks as he tries to run around the robots. "I'm not worried." Bakugo used his explosions to fly above the wreckage and the remaining Zero pointers. He has the right idea. Shiro and Tokoyami used their quirks to start leaping over the robots too. Soon the rest of class 1 started to charge forward. Ida got into a higher gear and was kicking through the robots. Kaminari was using his electricity to destroy the robots, and Ochako lifted the robots so she can pass by them. Jiru jabbed her jacks into the robots and used sound vibrations to destroy them. Kirishima was bulldozing the robots and Ojiro was smashing them with his tail. Wow, those Wana kids are not slowing down. They are leading the pack and are doing great work down there. How is that possible, Present Mike? It's because those kids have been in their first real fight, making them gain some worthwhile experience and taught them an important lesson. Don't hesitate. They have experienced what it's like to face villains, overcame the fear from that, and fought to survive. They have learned to not hesitate in battle in order to win. Aizawa. Great co-commentary. Present Mike gave Aizawa a thumbs up and Aizawa just rolled his eyes in response. Bakugo continues to fly over the robots and is seen by a certain someone. "Wait a second, I can do that too." A girl with long dark moss green hair smiled as her ankles separated from her feet. She then picked up her feet and started to fly over the robot corpses. Seems like a Class 1B student has the right idea. Setsuna Takage is a recommendation student, and her quirk is Lizard Tail Splitter. It allows her to split up her body into as many as 50 pieces. She can remotely make every one of these pieces, move them freely and levitate through the air at high speeds. Her pieces can also regenerate if destroyed or otherwise become unusable. Present Mike explains as the crowd gets interested in her ability. A blonde classmate of hers though frowns. "Dang it, Takage, you aren't sticking to the plan." Setsuna smiles and thinks to herself. "I'm glad Present Mike doesn't blab about our weaknesses, otherwise I may get in trouble later on. My pieces will stop moving if they are separated for too long, in which case they will regenerate. If I reattach the parts before they go still, their time limit will reset. The regeneration ability of my quirk is also very exhausting, so I prefer to recall as many of my body parts back as possible to conserve energy." Suddenly a shadow is casted over her, and she looks to see what's making it and gasps. A 3-pointer got close and pointed one of its rockets at her. Target acquired. Setsuna gulps. This is going to hurt. Thankfully for her, a classmate jumps over to her and slices the robot to pieces. "You need to be more careful, Takage." A mantis-looking, tall, slender young man with pale yellow-green skin and a bright, fluffy green mohawk says. He had 2 blades sticking out of his forearms, but then they receded back into his arms. Looks like Takage almost bit the dust, however good classmates stick together, and Toguro Kamakiri jumped in to help out. His quirk allows him to produce large blades from any part of his body. These blades are sharp and strong enough to cut through pipes made of steel and iron and are super durable. Perfect for dicing up the robots. Present Mike. "Sorry, I got carried away. I just don't want to hang back and let the others have fun, you know." Setsuna smiles and rubs the back of her head. Sigh, just be more careful next time. Kamakiri. Izuku has watched all this happen near him and was excited. "Their quirks are so strong, I kinda want to know what it would be like to fight them. The girl seems immune to blades and the guy can basically grow blades from his body. If I fought them, would I even be able to hit her, and will I be able to bypass his blades, or fall victim to them?" Izuku then notices that while the two were distracted talking to each other, More robots were flanking them. Not today, Izuku goes full cowling and readies his blade. Targets acquired. The robots say surprising the two, but before they can react, Izuku flew by a slashed all the robots. They fall apart and Izuku stands up straight before sheathing his sword. The two stares at him in amazement, but Kamakiri remembers that this is a competition and asks Izuku a question. You, the class 1 a president, why did you do that when it would have been more beneficial to let us be taken out? What are you playing at? No real reason other than that I didn't want you two to be taken out. Izuku, oh, then you did that so that way we owe you one or something? Sorry, but I won't play along. Kamakiri grew his forearm blades again and took a fighting stance. Izuku just smiled and looked at him. No, it's because I want to fight you both later. That statement confused the two and Setsuna decided to step forward. Can you elaborate? As one swordsman to another, I want to cross blades. I get the feeling you would be a worthy foe, and I want to see who can handle a blade better. However, I can't do that if you are taken out. Izuku looks to Kamakiri, who stares back wide-eyed. Izuku then turns his head to look at Setsuna. And the reason I want to fight you is because your quirk makes you immune to bladed attacks. That makes you the perfect opponent that I have to overcome if I want to get stronger. Setsuna eyes widen as well, and both 1B students are shocked by Izuku's words. Kamakiri smirks and recedes his blades. I have to admit, that sounds interesting. Okay then, I promise that I will make sure I face you in the finals. Me too, Setsuna joins in and smiles. Then I will see you later. Izuku goes full cowling and races off to clear the robots in his way. He is an interesting one. Setsuna smirked and Kamakiri nodded in agreement. Yeah, but I think that's a good thing. Kamakiri. Now let's go. We wasted too much time already, and we have to place high enough to make it to the next round. Setsuna takes off with Kamakiri following suit. Izuku cuts down any robot in his path until he looks down at the one-pointer he took down. He sees the arm plate that he cut off the robot and had sliced it, making it smaller. It is an inch or two thick, a little bit wider than his arm, had a few wires still attached, and was slightly longer than his forearm. This seems like it would be a good shield. Perfect since I only have one sword and may come in handy. Izuku picks the makeshift shield up and wraps the wires around his forearm to tie it to himself. Izuku sees another one-pointer and decides to test his new shield. Izuku activates full cowling and runs at the robot, and by the time it noticed him, Izuku slammed the shield into it. The robot crumpled, was sent flying into the air, and when it landed it was no longer functioning. Yep, that works. Izuku runs off to try and catch up to Todoroki and Bakugo. Nearby Momo opened up her shirt and created a cannon. I can't waste any more time against these robots. Momo fired the cannon and toppled 3 Zu-pointers. Whoa, she took them down. Sato then saw the path she made and ran towards it. Nice job, Yayurazu. Izuku joins Sato and heads to the path. Todoroki still had the lead and had made it past all the robots, but then came upon the next hurdle, a big chasm. The chasm was big, but not completely empty as it had some rock pillars and steel wires connecting to each of them. It's time for the second obstacle, where if you fall, you're out. You have to crawl or tightrope walk on the wires to make it to the other side. It's the fall. Soon the others caught up and tried to figure out the best way to go across. Bakugo just straight up continued to use his explosions to jump across, and Tsuyu crawled along the wire. Aw man, they are getting away. Mina and Ochako show up and try to balance on the wire to walk across. Hee, this is it. Mei comes up and starts laughing. Who is she? Mina asks as she wobbles on the tightrope. That's Mei Hatsum. She is Deku's friend and is in the support course. Ochako. This is the perfect time to have my inventions be in the spotlight. I hope those big support companies are watching. Mei turns on her hover shoes and makes sure her harness it on right. Is she allowed to have support gear? Mina asks angrily. Hero students get practical training to use their quirks, so in fairness the school allows us support students to bring support gear. However, the support items have to have been made and developed by the student. So as long as those rules are followed, then using equipment is okay. This is a support student's chance to show what they can make to support companies watching. Now off I go. Mei's harness shoots out a harpoon wire to one of the rock pillars. Once attached, Mei jumps down in the chasm and swings to the pillar. Before she smacks into it, she activates her hover shoes to stop herself and reels in the wire to bring herself to the top. That doesn't seem fair, Ochako and Mina yell out as they both try to cross the chasm faster. Izuku meanwhile had no choice but to crawl across the wire like Tsu, but was slowly gaining up on Todoroki. Speaking of Todoroki, he had just grinded over the last wire and had made it across the fall. Don't count me out just yet, half and half. Bakugo was not far behind and Todoroki had to start running again. He is so persistent. Todoroki grumbled. It looks like the two in the lead are about to reach the final obstacle. But this last one is sure to let the others catch up. It's the minefield. A long stretch of land has mines buried beneath the soil. If you keep a keen eye, you can see where they are buried, and it looks like it gets more mine-heavy the further you walk through the field, so watch your step. I should also mention that these mines are not deadly, but they are loud, flashy, and pack a decent punch. Basically, just strong enough to make you wet yourself if you trip one up. Present Mike laughs. Depends on the individual. Aizawa replies as he watches the two in the lead. Both Todoroki and Bakugo are now walking slowly through the minefield. I see what Yue is doing. The mines force those ahead to slow down and allows the others to catch up. I can't even use my ice to create a path since Bakugo and the others can use it too. Todoroki. Just wait, icy hot. Once I get close enough, then I will let loose and cause a chain reaction to explode your ass into next week. Bakugo walks a little more recklessly, but is catching up. The other students catch up and start the slow walk through the field except Izuku. I need a different approach since I won't catch up if I walk slowly to avoid the mines. Even if I use my new shield, I doubt I can tank the explosions. Izuku tries to figure out a plan, but sees Mainta jumping onto Momo's back. What are you doing? Get off! Momo tries to shake him off, but Mainta used his balls to stick to her. Why try to avoid the mines when I can ride someone who will do that for me? Not only that, I can also ride on a hot girl too. Mainta gets a pervy face which angers Izuku. Izuku digs up a mine and uses the shield to bat it at Mainta. Yairazu, duck! Izuku yells out as he hits the mine and Momo sees what he is doing and happily obliges. Huh! Asterisk thwack asterisk. Mainta wonders what is going on until he is hit in the face by a mine, exploding him away into another set of mines. Ah! Thank you, Midoriya. Momo smiles at him and continues walking across the field. No problem. Izuku smiles until he gets an idea. I have been thinking about this all wrong. The mines aren't only an obstacle, but can also be a tool to help. Izuku starts digging up a few more mines. Jiro hears the digging and looks back at Izuku, wondering what he is doing. That's weird. Jiro then decides to forget about it and continues using her quirk to help find and avoid the mines. Things are slowing down since the kids are trying to not activate any mines, but how long will this last? Present Mike announces as the crowd cheers. Bakugo finally gets close enough and tries taking down Todoroki. Hey, your declaration of war. It was to the wrong person. Bakugo tries using small explosion to not detonate the mines and get himself caught in an explosion. He relentlessly attacks to try to knock Todoroki into the mines. However, because these attacks are not as fast or powerful as his usual explosions, Todoroki keeps dodging his attacks. Damn it, he caught up. Todoroki tries to fight back, but Bakugo keeps away from his right side, so the two are at a stalemate. Izuku sees the two attacking each other and smiled. This is my chance. Izuku had been piling a few mines on top of each other into a big stack. These things only go off if some pressure is applied to the top of them, but if I'm careful I can pick them up. Izuku pockets 2 mines and raises his shield. This is going to hurt. Izuku unties the shield from his arm and holds it in front of him. He then jumps, throws the shield, and stomps onto it, right on top of the mines. Boom! Everyone looks back and sees a giant explosion. Whoa, that was a huge explosion, but how did that happen? The mines shouldn't be powerful enough to make an explosion that big. Present Mike has the camera's focus on the pink explosion cloud. No. But if someone intentionally piles a few together, then it's possible. Aizawa states as he was paying attention to Izuku and knows what happened. That kid is really reckless, smart, but reckless. Suddenly Izuku is rocketed into the sky and towards the other end of the minefield. Midoriya, Class 1 eschews as he flies above them. Yes, both Tashinori and Uncle Iroh yells out when they see Izuku. Izuku is smiling as he rides his shield like a skateboard over to Bakugo and Todoroki. It's Izuku Midoriya. He is flying over the field and everyone else. He is quickly gaining on first place. Present Mike watches Izuku pass over Bakugo and Todoroki. The two immediately stop fighting each other and chase after him. Deku, Bakugo. Midoriya, Todoroki. Scratch that. The lead is his. Not only that, but Bakugo and Todoroki forgot about each other and are chasing after Midoriya, Present Mike. That's what happens when you have a common enemy. Aizawa. Bakugo unleashes bigger explosions to catch up and Todoroki creates an ice path. This path may help others, but I can't worry about that now. Izuku starts slowing down and is falling towards the ground. Part 1 of my plan is done. Now for part 2. Izuku takes out the 2 mines he pocketed earlier and takes aim. I need to stop Bakugo and Todoroki, otherwise it will be a 3-way brawl for first. I need to make another explosion. As Bakugo and Todoroki catch up, Izuku throws the mines at their feet, setting them off. Boom. Gah! Both Bakugo and Todoroki are stopped, but the explosion wasn't strong enough to knock them away and they start running again. Deku, get back here! Bakugo charged forward towards Izuku and Todoroki did the same. Izuku, however, was ready for them. I expected that wouldn't be enough to stop them. But I didn't need to stop them, just slow them long enough for this. Izuku landed, unsheathes his sword, and went full cowling. Bakugo and Todoroki eyes widened as they now see that this was a trap. One sword style onigiri, Izuku quickly slashes the two and sent them flying back. They both land on more mines and got blown up. Boom, damn it, Bakugo. Crap, Todoroki. Amazing, Midoriya took out Bakugo and Todoroki and secures first place, Present Mike says, and the stadium crowd roars in excitement. Izuku turns around and uses full cowling to sprint to the finish line. Bakugo, being used to explosions and has a small tolerance to them, was able to get up and chases Izuku again. I won't let you win. They too soon enter the tunnel and the cameras turn to see who comes out first. This is freaking amazing. Your class is something else. Erase your head. What did you teach them? Present Mike. Their drive wasn't something I taught. They have been spurring each other on their own, strengthening themselves and getting stronger by competing with one another. Aizawa. That's so poetic. This is an incredible first event and we still have more to come. But who will win? Who will be the first one out the tunnel? Present Mike and the crowd watch the giant screen TV to see who will win. In the dark tunnel, they see some flashes of green lightning and the orange glow of some explosions, until suddenly there was nothing. It was quiet for a few seconds, but suddenly Izuku burst through and slid across the finish line. Izuku Midoriya takes it. He is the winner of the first event. Present Mike and the crowd applauds. Izuku smiles, turns off full cowling, and then Bakugo came out the tunnel. Damn it. A few seconds later, Todoroki takes third as is visibly upset with that. Iro, Toshinori, and Inko at home are cheering for Izuku and are happy that he got first. Good job, kid. I knew you had it in you. Toshinori clapped from his seat in the teacher's seating section. Midoriya, huh? His stock is sure to go up from this. But how to market him? Two business course students discuss, getting Toshinori's attention. Business students, oh how they haven't changed. Since participating in the sports festival won't do them any good, they sell stuff or talk shop. Some decide to sell stuff, but the others take advantage of being right next to the hero students to observe them. Then they talk amongst themselves to run business simulations and figure out how to promote the other students. Toshinori. He has some skills with a sword since he took down first and third place. His looks aren't bad and gives a cool impression when he wears that bandana. Maybe the best way to market him is with Kendo Dojo ads or something. Business student. Don't forget the others. The second and third place winners are interesting too, especially third place. He is the son of Japan's second place hero, Endeavor. A legacy like that is sure to get attention. Business student. But that can easily be disappointing if he doesn't perform well. Who would be impressed that a high-ranking hero's son was only able to get third place? Todoroki hears that and frowns with displeasure. He turns away and starts warming himself with his quirk since he used a lot of ice to try to catch up in the race. Izuku, meanwhile, had been overjoyed that he got first. His friends had also finished the race and came to congratulate him. Deku, that was amazing, Ochako. That was so cool, Toru. I am ashamed of myself that I lost a race, but I am happy that you won. Ida. Even Mei ran over to congratulate him. That was awesome muscles. I saw you digging at the ground, but I didn't think you were going to do something that crazy. It was cool though. Jiru. Congratulations on winning. Tsuyu. Great job, Midoriya. And again, I must thank you for getting Mainta off my back. Momo. He really needs to be checked out by a shrink or something. Izuku sighs. I don't there is anyone qualified enough to tackle that mess. Jiru says, causing the group to laugh. Attention, it is time to announce who will be moving on to the next round, Midnight yells out, getting everyone's to look over to her. The cutoff will be the first 42 students to have passed the finish line. That means all of 1A and 1B will take part in the next event, with one support course student and one general education student. Midnight says as Mainta and Aoyama are sweating bullets since they barely made the cutoff since they came in 41st and 42nd place. Now for all you young ones that didn't make it, don't worry. Later there will be special sporting events that you can take part in and show your stuff, Midnight. The general students that heard that were happy that they still had a chance to show their quirks and skills. The roulette wheel will spin again to choose the next event. Oh, how the anticipation must be killing you. Midnight starts the hologram wheel spin. It spun around, making the students anxious, until it started to slow down and landed on handcuff battle. Ooh, my personal favorite, the handcuff battle. Midnight squeals in joy as everyone else gets confused. Handcuff battle, everyone? Alright, listen up. This event was something I came up with and I love it. So, you better pay attention. I don't want to repeat myself. Midnight says in a seductive, but menacing voice that sent shivers up the students' spines. This is a team event where teams are made of 2 or 3 people and will be handcuffed together, Midnight exclaims, and the students and audience are shocked by this. What? Everyone? That's right, they will be handcuffed together and will fight other teams. Each member will be handcuffed to at least one other member, or to their only teammate if the team only has 2 people. If there are 3 members, then one person will have someone cuffed to their left and right arms, Midnight. But why would we make a team of 3? If we are going to fight, then wouldn't it be better to have teams made of 2 people for better mobility and so that both members have a free arm to fight with? Izuku raises his hand to ask. There is a reason for that. Teams will also have one member wear a headband that has a point value to them. Each of you will be given a point value based on your rank from the first event, and all members' values get added. Then the total will be on your team's headband. This event will be similar to a cavalry battle where you will snag other team headbands while protecting your own until the time limit of 20 minutes is over. And obviously, using your quirks is allowed, midnight. You will earn the points of the headbands you took from other teams. Then the top teams with the most points will move on to the final event. However, to help make things fair, teams with 3 members will have their point values be split in half. The 2 values will be put on 2 headbands that 2 members wear, so if their one of headbands gets stolen, they have a backup, midnight. The students nod their heads, now getting intrigued by this event. Now that we understand how the game will work, let's discuss rules and figure out your point values. Rules are such: you cannot break your handcuffs, that will disqualify you. And don't try to be clever or naughty by purposefully breaking other teams' handcuffs, or you will be punished. Midnight cracks her whip, scaring some people. No purposefully hurting others either. We are heroes, not villains. No leaving the boundary that is represented by the white lines on the grass, but the air and sky above have no such limit. Headbands taken from others must be worn around the neck. The more headbands you have, the harder it will be to look out for enemies. If your headband is taken, then you are not out. You will still be able to try to take them back or takes another team's points. Anything else that needs a ruling will be decided by myself. Now on to points. Each of you has been given a point value based on your placement in the previous event. Last place has 5 points, second to last has 10, and so on. Midnight. Then by the math, my point value for taking first place should be 210 points. Izuku thinks, but then sees Midnight smiling at him. However, for first place the points they are given is 10 million, Midnight announces as the crowd gets excited by what that means. So that means Shinso. If you take out his team, Todoroki, then you get all of his points, every student thinks as they look at Izuku. Izuku feels all eyes on him and calmly stares back. So, this is what All Might feels from being at the top. Everyone is going to be gunning for me to take my position. Toshinori and Uncle Iroh watch from their seats and think the same thing. You are catching on. Now, what are you gonna do? Don't feel too bad, first place. To not put you at a disadvantage, you will get first pick at teammates. You can try to convince 1 or 2 students to be on your team, then once you do, everyone else will form their teams. Midnight. Izuku closes his eyes and cups his chin in thought. If I get first pick, then I need to make it count. Ida or Uraraka can give us better mobility to stay away from everyone with their quirks. Yayurazu can make weapon and give me some swords. But Mei gets to use her gadgets, and that might give us some unpredictability. I also can't forget the other classes. Izuku's eyes open wide at that thought. He grinned and walked up to Midnight. I have a quick question. What is it? Midnight leans over the stage to hear Izuku whisper something. Midnight smiles and stands up straight. I will allow it. What's this? Midoriya asked Midnight something, and she told him it's okay, but what could it have been? Present Mike, Aizawa, the crowd and the other students get curious. Izuku then starts walking to get his teammates, but to everyone's surprise, he passed by his own class. He walks up to Class 1B, and they look at him in confusion. A blonde student of Class 1B, Nido Monoma, starts getting angry. What is that upstart doing? Trying to break up our class to weaken us or something? Izuku stops in front of the 2 1B members he met on the obstacle race. Hello again. Izuku smiles to them. Setsuna and Kamakiri look at him in confusion. Hello. What are you doing here, Setsuna? I want you both on my team. Izuku replies, shocking the 2. Why would we want to join you? Sure, I saw your skills with a blade, and while impressive, isn't going to be enough to convince us. Kamakiri. Maybe, but my skills are not the only thing I'm offering. I have a plan and I ask that you just hear me out. Izuku. Setsuna and Kamakiri look to one another silently discussing to listen to him, until they both nod. Okay, what's your plan, Kamakiri? Izuku smiles and takes them away from the others so they couldn't overhear. Izuku whispers his plan, and everyone can see that the more he talked, the wider the two 1B students' eyes got. Kamakiri gets angry while Setsuna laughs. You want me to what? Kamakiri yells. I want you to be my blade. My quirk gives me greater strength so I can easily pick you up and swing you like a sword. The others won't see it coming. Izuku. I'm game. Setsuna grins, liking the idea that he had for her, but mostly wants to join to see that happen up close. No way. Even if you can pick me up, I'm not a sword, Kamakiri. Izuku closes his eyes and thinks aloud. You're right. A proper sword needs a name. Izuku eyes open and stares at Kamakiri with a serious gaze. You will be the great Mantis Blade Storm. Setsuna starts laughing, confusing everyone who can't hear them, and Kamakiri is stunned. Shit, that's good, Kamakiri thinks before shaking his head. Okay, cool name aside, your plan is to use me to scare everyone from getting close. I don't think that's a good plan. No, I plan for us to win by stealing the others' headbands. Izuku states, surprising the two again. Setsuna stops laughing and looks at him. You want to fight back. Why? Your points guarantee that you will make it to the next round if you can keep them. I don't want to play it safe, and I don't want to take the easy way. I want to prove I have what it takes to be a great hero. I can do that by showing that even if I'm up against multiple foes, I can win against those odds. I have what it takes to save others and defeat any villain. I want to excel. Izuku. Setsuna and Kamakiri are speechless at his determination and are contemplating if they should join him. Now I have a question for you too. What do you want? Do you want to just do the bare minimum? Or do you want to go plus ultra? The two remember what Monoma said to the class about his plan for them to win the sports festival. How if they hang back during the first event and work together in the second, then they can show up class 1A and prove that they are the better class. But it doesn't feel right to do it that way. They wouldn't be winning through their own individual strength, skill, or brains. Instead, they would win with cheap tactics and deceit, but they want to prove themselves too. They want to be great and push their limits to win. Setsuna smiles and looks Izuku in the eyes. I'm in. Kamakiri grins as well and grows a blade from his forearm. Me as well. Izuku shakes their hands and looks over to Midnight. I got my teammates. Great. Now the rest of you have 5 minutes to pick your partners. Happy hunting. Midnight cracks her whip as the students start rushing to get teammates. Hey Bakugo, let me join your team, Zoro. No, pick me, Mina. I the obvious choice, Aoyama. Bakugo gets swarmed by some of his classmates, asking to join him. Wait, tell me your names and what your quirks are, Bakugo. How do you not know? We have had multiple classes together, Sato. They then reluctantly tell them their quirks as Bakugo thinks about who to team up with. Young Bakugo is strong and smart. His quirk is also powerful, so it makes sense that others want to join him. Toshinori. Hey Bakugo, Todoroki already has his team, so I came here. Let me join you, Kirishima waves as he walks over to him. Oh, it's you weird hair, Bakugo. My name is Kirishima, and my hair isn't different from yours. Anyway, with how powerful your quirk is, then you need someone to withstand its blast. That would be me. Kirishima hardens his arms and punches his fists. Do you have what it takes to win? Bakugo sneers. Yeah man, besides I know you want the 10 million points, and with me by your side, then Midoriya won't be able to put a scratch on you. Kirishima holds up his hand. Bakugo grins and grabs his hand. Then you're in. Also, I have an idea for you too. Bakugo points to Zoro and Mina, and they too get confused. Jiru went up to Momo and got her attention. Hey yeah Momo, is it alright if we join up? Just like at the Ustie, you can create weapons that we can use to win. Sure, that's not a bad idea. I might also be able to create a speaker that you can use your quirk with, like the boots you have with your hero costume. Momo. Great. Jiro shakes Momo's hand, but then another hand grabbed the both of theirs. Let me join you too, Mei yells. Huh? Where did you come from? And why do you want to be on our team, Momo? I saw what you did in the race. You can create stuff with your quirk, right? Mei's eyes zoom in on Momo. Oh no, I forgot that Midoriya told me not to let her know what my quirk is, otherwise she might bug me to make her stuff. With your and the purple girl's quirk, then I can build us some of the best support gear to let us win. Mei pulls out a small speaker she made and handed it to Jiro. Here, try it. Jiro hesitantly plugs her jack in and let out a sound blast. The blast wasn't like with her boot speakers where it was widespread. This one was focused and went farther than normal. Whoa, Jiro. See, I can be helpful. I wanted to join Muscles, but he didn't choose me, so please let me join, Mei pleaded. Both Momo and Jiro had agreed to let her join. Other groups started to form as well, like Ochako and Tsuyu, Shoji and Mainta, and Shinso got both Ojiro and Aoyama to join him. Todoroki also got his team set. He has decided to have Ida join him to get some mobility. Thank you for letting me join you, Ida bowed at a 90-degree angle. If I want to win, then I need to be able to catch up to anyone who can escape my ice. You are the logical choice to do that. Todoroki. But what about your fire? Couldn't that also help in battle? No, while fighting, I never use my left side. Todoroki looks up to the stands and sees his father. The hero ranked second in Japan, the flame hero Endeavor. Endeavor watches his son and sighs. He still isn't using his fire. No doubt he is also going to try and win the second event with his ice only. Endeavor tries to think of what to do about his son, but overhears a certain voice. Wait, it couldn't be. Master Iro? Endeavor looks around and his eyes land on who he was looking for. Uncle Iro was talking to a business student who he managed to convince and pay to get him tea. Master Iro, is that you? Endeavor walked up to the man with reverence in his voice. Iro turned around and smiled. Inji, it's been so long. How are you doing? I'm doing well, but what are you doing here? I never expected to see you at an event like this. Endeavor sits on the open seat next to Iro. One of my students, my best one actually, who I trained in swordplay, is a student at UA. I came to cheer them on. Iro smiled. That's right, I forgot Master is an expert swordsman and runs a dojo to teach others swordsmanship. Wait then, that means, then the one with the sword, the student who gave the speech and won the first event, is your student, Endeavor. Haha, yep. I am so proud of him and am excited to see what he will do next. Iro says happily before taking a sip of his tea. Endeavor stops to think for a second before speaking again. If it's not too much trouble, after the second event, can we talk privately? I am having trouble with something, and I need your advice. Iro is surprised by this, but smiles. Sure, I don't mind. Endeavor nods his head in thanks. Midnight walks up center stage. Okay, the students have formed their teams. It is time to start the second event. The crowd cheers as the students were handed their handcuffs and headbands. Izuku puts on both headbands and is handcuffed to Setsuna on his left and Kamakiri on his right. Are you sure you want to put on both headbands, Setsuna? Almost everyone is going to go after us, so why divide them? Not only that, it will be easier to defend if both headbands are on one person. Now, are you guys ready, Izuku? Yep. Setsuna smirks as she gets into position. Good here. Kamakiri creates long blades on both his arms that are slightly longer than normal swords. Then let's do this. Izuku readies the Wado Ikamanji. You may now. Begin. Midnight cracks her whip to signal the timer. You may now. Begin. Midnight cracks her whip to signal the timer. Immediately some teams start rushing Izuku and his team. This really is a fight for the 10 million points, and everyone knows it. Let's go Ibara, Tetsu yells as he and a girl with vine hair charge toward Izuku. Izuku doesn't get scared though and smirks. Ready you two? Yep. Setsuna gets her quirk ready. Ready. Kamakiri created 2 large blades from his forearms. Then let's go. Izuku turns on full cowling and picks up Kamakiri by his clothes around his waist. Once some of the teams were close enough, Izuku swung Kamakiri and sent them back. Ah, the other teams yelled out as they were flying back. Because of his enhanced strength and Kamakiri's weight, the other teams were flung a few feet back and collided into each other. Oh, watch it. Get out of the way, the teams argued. That was amazing. Most of the teams tried to go after the 10 million points, but Midoriya and his team were prepared. Midoriya has the crazy idea to use his own teammate as a weapon, but you can't argue with the results, Present Mike announces as the crowd cheers. It is one of the better ideas actually. Because of how the handcuffs restrict your movement, you need to get creative in order to fight back. However, that isn't what we should be paying attention to. Aizawa. Tetsu heard Aizawa and got confused. What the heck is he on about? Tetsu looks over at Izuku's team. There isn't anything strange going on. All I see is Midoriya holding Kamakiri in one hand and his sword in his other hand. Tetsu's eyes widen as he finally notices who's missing. Hey, where did Takage go? She isn't handcuffed to Midoriya, Tetsu yells out, causing the other teams to notice. He's right, where did she go? Are they already out of the game? Shouldn't he be disqualified? Izuku just smirks, which confuses them. Oh good, you're all distracted, Izuku said as he set Kamakiri down. Suddenly 2 Class 1B teams got their headbands stolen by Setsuna. What? They all yell as Setsuna happily hands over the headbands to Izuku. Here you go. Thank you. Midnight, that's not allowed, right? They are not handcuffed to each other, Nido Monoma complained. Midnight just smiled and wagged her finger. That's not true. If you look closely, you can see that Takage are still handcuffed to Midoriya. To help prove Midnight correct, the cameras zoomed in on Izuku and put the display onto the Jumbotron. It showed that Setsuna's hand was detached, holding onto Izuku's arm, and was still handcuffed. If you remember, before Midoriya went to ask Takage and Kamakiri to join his team, he asked me something. He asked if I would allow Takage to use her quirk to technically still be handcuffed to him and allow her to separate from her teammates. I said yes, however, to still make things fair, Setsuna Takage could not be the one handcuffed to both team members. Midnight explained. Yep, so now I can run around taking headbands without worry, or a hand. Later, Setsuna waves her arm that is missing said hand before running off again. Wow, seems like Midoriya has this planned out and now has a great advantage over the other teams, Present Mike. The other teams get annoyed that he found a loophole and start to charge again. So, what if there is one less person slowing you down? We can still overwhelm you, another Class 1B member yells. He is Juzo Honuki, who is a pale-skinned young man with angular eyes, mid-length spiked hair of a beige color, a flat nose, and small eyebrows. His most unusual feature is his teeth, which sit outside his skin. He has no discernible lips, giving him a skull-like appearance. Honuki put one of his legs forward and the ground started to change. Soon Izuku felt himself starting to sink into the ground. What's happening? Izuku asks, and Kamakiri frowns and struggles to move. This is Honuki's quirk. Present Mike decides to help clue both Izuku and the crowd of what's happening. Looks like recommendation student Juzo Honuki is gunning for those 10 million points and used his quirk stopped Midoriya's team in place. His quirk softening, it allows him to soften any non-living thing he touches. For example, he can soften the ground to make it similar to quicksand or watery mud, hindering movements and mobility. If Honuki makes contact again, he can undo the effect. He is also capable of swimming through the softened material. If that's how it works, then we need to get out of it fast. Kamakiri, make as many blades as you can. I'm going to use wind pressure to get us out. On it, Izuku picks his teammate up again and prepares to swing him like a baseball bat. Kamakiri made as many big blades as possible to resemble a giant fan. Izuku then used full cowling to swing him as hard as he could. A whoosh! The air pressure caused a wave of mud to be sent back towards its creator and also pushing Izuku out of the mud. Honuki and his teammate saw this happen and could only say one thing: aw crud. Honuki was fine since he can just dive into the ground to get the mud off him, but with his teammate covered in mud, he needed to help get it off them. In another swift move, Midoriya evades danger once again. Present Mike cheers alongside the crowd. Okay, we need to go now. Staying here will make it easier for them to gang up on us. Right, Izuku and Kamakiri start running away. Looks like Midoriya and Kamakiri are now on the move. I don't blame them since most teams want to go after them. Present Mike. Most teams. Others know that there are other ways to get points. Aizawa states as he sees some of his students start charging those in Class 1B and vice versa. That's right, Erasure Head Sensei. And I think I know who I can easily get their points by antagonizing him. Nido Manama smiles as he and his teammate Kosai Tsubaraba start to move. Kosai Tsubaraba is a young man with short brown hair, spiked up at odd angles on his head. His eyes are oval-shaped, along with his large pupils. Ready, Manama? Ready. Tsubaraba answers, and they both sneak off. Tsu now. Ochako uses her quirk to make herself lighter. Tsuyu then carries Ochako, jumps over one of the teams, and uses her tongue to grab their headband. Got them. Asterisk ribbit asterisk. Momo soon joins in too with her teammates. Since her quirk is the least useful and had already given Jiru and Momo all the gadgets she could, Mei was the one handcuffed to both teammates. Let's go, and remember, the speaker baby I gave you can't be used in rapid succession. Mei. Understood. Jiru plugs her jack into the speaker and blasts one of the teams. Momo then created a staff that she used to take their headband. Great job, girls. Now on to the next one, Momo. Looks like you're right, Erasure Head. It's now a free-for-all down there, Present Mike. It was only a matter of time before they realized that if they all go after the 10 million point headband, then only one of them gets to have it. If you want to increase your odds that you make it to the next round, then you need to get the points other teams have. Aizawa. Bakugo and Kirishima also made an appearance. Bakugo was behind Kirishima and had his free arm pointing behind them. Bakugo let out some explosions, pushing Kirishima forward into another team with his body hardened. Out of my way! They barreled through the team and stole their headband. Hey, weird hair, where did Deku go, Bakugo? He ran off. I guess he didn't want to fight the crowd going after him. Kirishima. Then after him, I want those 10 million points, Bakugo yelled back. As Kirishima was about to move, both he and Bakugo heard someone talking to them. You know you should pay better attention to your surroundings rather than the carrot being waved in front of you. Manama snuck up behind Bakugo, stole his headbands, and tapped Kirishima's shoulder discreetly. Otherwise, you will get played from right under your nose and get hit by the stick. Manama mocked. Damn you, Bakugo curses as Kirishima tries to attack and get their points back. Oh no you don't, Kirishima hardens his arm and tries to punch Manama. But his teammate released his breath and created an air wall to block Kirishima's attack. What the hell, Kirishima? Kosai Tsubaraba, quirk, solid air. His quirk allows him to solidify any air he breathes out, allowing him to create invisible walls and/or platforms. The solidified air continues to stay afloat in mid-air, even if someone is standing on it. The size of the wall or platform depends on his lung capacity. Present Mike informs. Tsubaraba smirks as Kirishima is blocked. Bakugo goes around the air wall and holds his free arm up. He points it at Manama and screams, "Die!" Boom. Bakugo smiles, but is soon surprised that his attack didn't work. Not a bad quirk, but as you can see, mine is better. Manama taunts as it is revealed that his arm and face hardened like Kirishima's. While Bakugo's hand was still up, Manama quickly taps it. Bakugo, thinking that he was going to attack, pulls his arm back, but feels their hands grazing for a second. What the? Hold on, is he another copycat? Kirishima yells, surprised as well. Manama smirks at the response, finding how ironic his wording is, and holds his hand up to Kirishima. Boom. Suddenly, an explosion comes out of his hand and Kirishima is forced to harden to defend himself. Though, as I hate to admit it, your quirk is impressive too. I actually kinda enjoyed using it. Manama? He has your quirk too? Kirishima is flabbergasted while Bakugo just scowls. Wrong. He has a copying quirk. He can use the quirk of whoever he touches. I was wondering why this asshole touched my hand when he could have attacked. Bakugo explains. Wow, you got it right. I didn't think you would have figured it out so fast. Manama smirks. Nido Manama, quirk, copy. His quirk allows him to duplicate and use another person's quirk after coming into physical contact with the user. He can hold 4 quirks simultaneously and maintain copied powers for 5 minutes. After the time limit runs out, Nido loses the copied quirk until he once again touches the original user. He also cannot use multiple copied quirks simultaneously. Present Mike. But you are not that smart. Here you wanna idiots are showing off immediately as the round starts. However, my class was smarter. Most of us hid our quirks so that we would have an advantage in the second round. I mean, why worry about first place when getting second at least means you can move on? Manama. Plus, we have saved our energy from not going all out in round 1 that we can now use. That's tactical thinking 101. Yet you are just trying to brag about your abilities and being an idiot while doing it. No wonder you got caught in that sludge villain incident a year ago. How does it feel to get attacked by villains constantly? Manama gives a smug look as Bakugo twitched in anger at that last part. You bastard! Boom. Bakugo tries to release an explosion, but Manama hardened again. You really are way too hothead, but I can at least use that to my advantage. Manama snaps his fingers. Suddenly another team shows up. One member was a tall young man who is large and muscular in stature, possessing very wide shoulders in comparison to his slender waist and unusually sizable hands. His skin is a yellow straw-like color, and his head is shaped somewhat like a glue dispenser with a lapid on top, along with 7 eye holes on his face. He is Kojiro Bondo, and his quirk is Semidine. It allows him to spray large amounts of a fast-drying glue-like liquid from the 7 holes on his face. The liquid is sticky and can be used to trap people and attach things to each other. It is stated that he can control the speed at which his adhesive dries. Present Mike. The other member is Senkaibara, a young man of medium height with dark, shaggy hair and dark eyes, which are relatively thin and lazy-looking. He has a modest athletic build, the same as most of his classmates, and a slight tan. Senkaibara's quirk is Gyrate. It allows him to make any part of his body rotate at high speed like a drill. He can significantly enhance his hand-to-hand combat skills using this heavy rotation to augment his physical strikes. Present Mike. Bondo shoots out some glue at Bakugo's and Kirishima's feet. The glue almost instantly hardens and traps them in place. You guys are working together, Kirishima. There were no rules about, and it's a very smart strategy. Bye now. Hope you enjoy watching 1B win from the stands. Manama gives one last taunt as he and the other team run away. Change of plans, Bakugo says, his voice hinting at all the relentless rage his is keeping within, and startling Kirishima. The aura around Bakugo feels murderous as his eyes glaze over in rage. Before we go after Deku, I'm going to murder every last one of them. Kirishima gulps and nods his head. Then it's a good thing we have backup. Kirishima looks over at another team running up to them. Back with Monoma, he is smiling as he sees his score go up. He was able to take 2 more headbands from other Wana teams after he stole Bakugo's. Looks like we are moving on. As part of our plan and arrangement, here is your cut. Monoma hands over some headbands to Bondo. Thanks, but are you sure it was smart to antagonize Bakugo, Bondo? I agree, he seemed a little unhinged. Kaibara said, and Tsuburaba nodded in agreement. Get back here. Wait, did he seriously explode his own woe? Monoma was interrupted as some tape wrapped up his legs, causing him and his teammate to trip. Monoma, are you okay? Bondo was about to help him up. Boom, die. Bakugo, however, had Kirishima harden again and used some explosions to propel them forward and mowed him down. Bakugo then took all the headbands Bondo's team had. Monoma was confused on why he tripped and saw another team running after Bakugo, Zoro, and Mina. When teams were being made, Bakugo suggested to the 4 of them should team up since he knew that they would have to deal with Todoroki when they went after the 10 million points. He said that if they work together, then they can ensure they can make it to the next round. Bakugo and Kirishima would be on the front lines while Mina and Zoro would support them. Mina would be able to use her acid to melt any ice obstacles, and Zoro could ensnare enemies from a distance. Since it was a solid idea, Mina and Zoro agreed to team up. They were about to go after Izuku until they noticed Bakugo stuck in the glue and turned around to help. Hey, don't just run off like that, Mina yelled as her and Zoro caught up. I don't care, now elbows, Bakugo ordered. My name is Hanada Zoro. Zoro tapped up Bondo's team and his face so he couldn't shoot out any glue. Monoma, meanwhile, was able to remove the tape and was about to run away. Weird eyes, go, Bakugo. It's Mina Ashido. Mina threw some acid to block Monoma's path and stopped him in his tracks. I guess we're doing this now? You didn't seem to have learned from the first time. Monoma still had some time left to use Bakugo's quirk, so he turned around to fight. Bakugo did the unthinkable and picked up Kirishima and slung him over his shoulder. He then unleashed explosions bigger than what he was using before and flew through the air. What? Monoma and Tsuburaba yelled. Kirishima repositioned himself and hardened himself while Bakugo used the explosions to head right toward Monoma. Hardened missile. Monoma and Tsuburaba both tried to create some air walls to defend themselves, but it wasn't enough. Kirishima's hardening was too sturdy, and Bakugo's explosive speed helped smash through the invisible walls. Bakugo took back his headband and the others Monoma had. Zoro then taped up Monoma so he couldn't move. Nice job, man, Kirishima cheered. Don't celebrate just yet. We still have to go after Deku and the 10 million points. Bakugo tossed the headbands Bondo had to Zoro. But don't we have enough points to pass? Why risk going for more points, Mina? Because I aim to be the best. I aim to show that I am number 1. Only bitches and weaklings are all right with half-assed measures. So, let's go. Bakugo yelled and pulled Kirishima along. Kirishima didn't mind though, and was inspired to also do his best. Mina and Zoro also felt the same and followed suit. Toshinori Yagi Ake All Might had watched Bakugo's exchange with Monoma and smiled. Young Bakugo, you instinctively know the difference between those that are willing to settle and those who are constantly aiming for the top. Because of that, Monoma just couldn't stand up against your unwavering tenacity. Back to Izuku and Kamakiri. They continued to run, And Satsuna even came back at one point to drop off another headband as well and reattached her hand to reset the time for it. Seems like everyone else decided to not gang up on us anymore. Kamakiri. Until the timer's up, I will still be prepared to fight. Izuku replies, but he then sees something up ahead and is forced to stop. Hey, why did you stop? Kamakiri looks to Izuku, who only points forward. In front of them, the ground was covered in purple balls. Ha ha ha, I got you now, Midoriya. Mainta's voice rings out, but he himself is not in sight. Instead, they see Shoji running with his arms covering his back. Wait, is Mainta hiding in there? Izuku exclaims. That's right. Mainta peeks his face out and sinisterly smiles. And since I'm small, Shoji here can cover both myself and our headband. Our defense is perfect, and with my balls we can trap any foe. It's the perfect formation. What do? We can't run away if he throws some ball in our path, and their formation makes it so we can't attack the small one. Kamakiri asks, worried. Their formation isn't perfect. Izuku states, confusing Kamakiri, Shoji, and Mainta. Shoji is strong, so that would deter most from attacking him. However, that isn't enough to stop us from fighting back. Izuku gets his sword ready and picks up Kamakiri. Shoji's eyes widen and stops in place. Kamakiri smiles and creates some blades. I see what you mean. Mainta frowns and starts getting scared. No, stay away. Mainta throws out some balls towards Izuku in hopes that he gets caught. Izuku just dodges and gets closer to them. Because of all the balls he threw to the floor earlier, Mainta had to stop for his scalp to heal a bit before pulling more balls. Shoji used his quirk to make one of his duple arms grow longer to attack back with, swinging it like a whip at Izuku to either hinder him or take his headband. Oh no, you don't, Shoji. Izuku parried the arm whip with the back of his blade. Then he swung Kamakiri at Shoji's legs to try to trip him. Shoji did a backstep to get out of the way, and Izuku then ran behind him to attack again. Shoji dodged and swung his arm whip again. Izuku just lifted Kamakiri up in the whip's path, causing Shoji to stop to not risk cutting himself. Izuku used this opportunity. He threw the Wado Ikemanji up, stuck his hand into Shoji's arms to grab Mainta's headband, and pushed Shoji back. Got it, Izuku. They have our headband. We need to get it back. Mainta motioned Shoji to move. Right, huh? Shoji tried to give chase, but he couldn't move. Shoji looked down and saw his right foot stuck to one of the balls Mainta laid down as a trap. I'm stuck in one of your balls. What? Mainta saw his ball stuck to Shoji. He then heard laughter coming from Izuku. Haha, you need to be more careful where you put those and where you step. Izuku gave them a grin before running off. Dang it, he planned for this. Mainta, don't you have a way to remove these things, Shoji? Yeah, I have a spray, but it's part of my hero costume. Our only choice is to wait for the stickiness to wear off. Mainta said, depressed. So, we won't make it to the next round. Oh well, your plan was decent on paper. Shoji just accepted the situation. Izuku and Kamakiri were running again. The round is almost over. Thank God, I am getting tired of being a sword. Kamakiri. But you make such an amazing one. However, I agree. I think we should find Takage to regroup and have the three of us work to protect our headbands till the round's over. Izuku and Kamakiri nod in agreement. SHHKKK. Suddenly a wall of ice blocks their path. Todoroki. Izuku follows the wall until he sees Ida giving Todoroki an awkward piggyback. Todoroki and Ida were able to grab some headbands before confronting Izuku. What's this? Todoroki and Ida are facing off against Midoriya and Kamakiri. Looks like they desperately want those 10 million points. Present Mike. Since they are handcuffed by the hands, Ida had to put his arm behind his back so that Todoroki could piggyback off of him. Thankfully for them, Todoroki could stick out his right arm or leg to send out ice attacks. That That looks uncomfortable, but I'm guessing it's so he can use his quirk without dragging you around or tearing off your arm. Izuku. Correct. There is no escaping from us now. Todoroki subtly nudges Ida. Ida nods his head and runs toward Izuku. Whoa! Izuku and Kamakiri dodge out of Ida's way. Todoroki planned for this and created an icicle from his hand to touch the ground. That allowed him to be able to send another ice wave at specifically Izuku. Son of a... Izuku jumps up so that doesn't reach him. However, this too was part of Todoroki's plan. When fighting, if you know your opponent is able to dodge you, then you either attack where they are dodging to or attack when they are in a position where they can't dodge, like in the air. Ida was informed of this plan when they were forming teams and was in position. Sorry, Midoriya, but I want to win too. Ida held on to Todoroki as he spun around, ready to roundhouse kick Izuku. Kamakiri smiled though and grabbed Izuku. Not against us you won't. Kamakiri held on to Izuku like he did to him and pulled him away from danger. Huh. Todoroki and Ida missed and had to rebalance themselves. That gave Izuku and Kamakiri the perfect chance to strike back. Kamakiri still held on to Izuku and swung him around to hit Todoroki. What? You thought I was going to be the only one to use my teammate like a weapon? Nope. Izuku had full cowling ready and swung his legs back to kick. Todoroki tapped the ground with his foot to create an ice pillar to shield him and Ida. Smash! Izuku kicked through the ice and towards Todoroki's arm. This will make me get frostbite faster, but I need to block him. Todoroki created more ice on his arm to lessen the blow. Izuku's kick still sent Todoroki and Ida a few steps back, but they were still in the game. Whoa, looks like Midoriya was used as a weapon this time. The crazy plans this kid comes up with, it's so awesome. But will Todoroki make a comeback in the remaining 2 minutes? Present Mike. Aizawa didn't say anything but watched what was happening. This is getting interesting. Todoroki looked at his arm and saw it was bruised and shaking from the cold. This isn't good. I used my right side a lot already and didn't steal enough headbands to make it to the next round. We are running out of time. I need a plan. Todoroki, I have an idea. Ida said quietly so Izuku and Kamakiri couldn't hear. Todoroki was surprised, but welcomed anything that could help them win. Go on. I have been hiding something about my quirk. It's a technique that will render me useless and I won't be able to help you afterwards. It will be up to you. Grab the headband, Ida explained and revved up his engines. They are planning something. Get ready. Izuku picked up Kamakiri. I doubt it. There isn't much time left for them to do anything. Kamakiri stated until Ida's voice yelled something. Over torque, recipro burst. Ida dashed forward, moving faster than he has ever gone before. Todoroki was shocked but knew he shouldn't waste any time. So he held his hand up to take all of Izuku's headbands. Izuku and Kamakiri were stunned as Ida passed them in a second. Else. Kamakiri broke the silence by finishing his sentence. Amazing. Ida just moved faster than ever before, and Todoroki was able to steal the 10 million points. Is this the end for Midoriya's team? Present Mike. Ida. What was that, Todoroki? I have elevated my torque and RPM to their limit. It gives me explosive speed, however the kickback stalls my engines afterward. Like I said, Midoriya, I want to win. Ida yelled that last part and turned his head to look back to Izuku. Izuku shook off his stupor and charged up full cowling. We need to get our headbands back. All right, Kamakiri created more blades. What happened? Izuku and Kamakiri saw Setsuna running back to them. I came back to help protect our headbands once I heard Present Mike say Todoroki was after you. But now I heard that they got stolen. Ida pulled out a hidden move that surprised us. Now that you are here, I need you to distract Todoroki and Ida long enough so we can take our headband back, Izuku. Setsuna's face turned serious and nodded. She quickly reattached her hand to reset the time on it and detached it again. Then let's go beyond, plus ultra. Setsuna separated parts of her body and sent them flying towards Todoroki. Todoroki frowned and got off Ida's back to better protect themselves. He had started sending ice pillars at Setsuna's parts to stop them, but they moved too fast and were harder to hit since they flew in the air. Izuku used this chance to get close. They aren't trying to run away. That means whatever Ida did to gain that speed must have a drawback. Todoroki saw him coming and got desperate. I need to stop these body parts from flying at us so I can defend against Midoriya. Todoroki created an ice wall that curved to create a roof above him and Ida. That should stop the air attacks. Wish I was warmer so I could create a full dome, but it will have to do. Todoroki. Suddenly Setsuna appeared from the other side of the ice wall to attack. Give me the headband. Todoroki turned so his right side was in position to attack Setsuna. He then shoots out a line of ice spikes that Setsuna had to disassemble her body to dodge. Unfortunately, Izuku came up to Todoroki's left side and was in range to attack. Crap, the girl distracted me from Midoriya. Todoroki ran on instinct and raised his left arm, covered in fire, to defend himself. I can't purposefully hurt Todoroki, but I can at least create an opening to take the headbands back. Since he has to put any taken headband around his neck, he flipped them so we can't see which one is the 10 million point headband. But by logically thinking about it, the one on the top would be the most recent one he took. That one must be the 10 million points. Dragon Twister, Izuku using full cowling, spun his sword and kamakiri around him to create enough air pressure to push Todoroki back. The air pressure put out the flames on Todoroki's arm and forced his arm back to his side. Todoroki saw his arm and went wide-eyed. My left side was on fire. What am I doing? Izuku then grabbed the top headband around Todoroki's neck and takes it. I got it. Incredible. Midoriya takes back a headband from Todoroki. Is his team back on top? With only seconds left, will his team make a grand recovery? Present Mike? Kamakiri smiles but immediately frowns when he sees the headband Izuku look. Wait, that isn't 10 million point headband? Izuku is shocked and looks at the headband too. He checks and confirms that the 10 million one isn't there. But how, Izuku? Sorry, Midoriya, but we took the precaution of placing the 10 million point headband on the bottom instead. Ida explained as Todoroki came back to his senses. Looks like Team Todoroki did a switcheroo and are still in the lead. Team Midoriya may have some points back, but it isn't enough. What will he do now, Present Mike? Setsuna reformed back at her team. The clock's ticking. We don't have the 10 million points, and there are only a few seconds left. What do we do? Izuku frowned and stared back at Todoroki. There isn't much time to think of a new plan. We need to attack Todoroki again. Boom. Suddenly, Bakugo broke through one of the ice walls and was charging in with Kirishima, Mina, and Zoro. Icy hot, hand over that headband. Anno, we have to deal with Kaken too, damn it. Izuku, knowing he couldn't waste any more time, started to charge in again. Time is almost up. Let's start the countdown at 10. 9, Present Mike, and the crowd start counting. Izuku raised Kamakiri and took a pose. Full cowling. 8 inches. Bakugo pushed Kirishima in front and again used explosions to speed up, like a battering ram rocket. Hardened missile. 7 inches. Mina laid down some acid in front of them and Zoro shot out some tape and used it to pull them forward. Dang it, we didn't have time to come up with a team attack name or name for an ultimate move yet. Ugh. Just go, Mina. 6 inches. Ida, can you move yet? Todoroki looked to his teammate. No, my engines are still stalled, Ida yelled back as he tried to restart them. Todoroki then shuffled the headbands around his neck to mix them up. He's trying to mix the headbands to make it harder to take the 10 million point headband. Our only shot to win is to randomly take it, Izuku. 5 inches. Todoroki create an ice wall to try band block everyone. It blocked Setsuna, Mina, and Zoro, but because he was getting too cold it wasn't thick enough to stop Izuku and Bakugo. Boom, get over here, Bakugo blasted through the ice with Kirishima. Shin Izuku cut through with his onigiri technique. 4 inches. Finally, the 3 teams were close enough to fight and Bakugo pushed Kirishima to run into Todoroki and Ida. Todoroki and Ida dodged to not be hit, but Bakugo snagged 2 headbands. 3 inches. Now Kirishima was in Izuku's way, and Izuku used both his Wado Ikemonji and Kamakiri to send him back. Onigiri. 2 inches. Because of Izuku's attack, Bakugo and Kirishima collide into Todoroki and Ida. Izuku quickly sheathed the Wado and randomly grabbed one of Todoroki's headbands. 1, 0, it is over, Present Mic announces as an alarm rang, signaling the event is over. Everyone stop. If I see anyone who tries to take any more headbands, then you will be disqualified. Midnight snaps her whip to make all the students freeze. The crowd cheered, but Bakugo and Izuku ignored that. They both take a look at what they got to see if they got what they were after. I was only able to get 1 headband while Kaken got 2 and Todoroki still has a few. My chances are low, but did I get the points back? Izuku checks and frowns as he didn't get it. And I can guess Kaken didn't either. That means... Izuku. Damn. Todoroki does not have it? Izuku looked over and saw Todoroki scowling at the headbands he has. Bakugo and Todoroki looked to Izuku expecting him to have it, but saw his confused face and they got confused too. Wait, what's happening? Did we get the headband? Kamakiri asked. No, but that doesn't make sense. If Todoroki, Bakugo, and I don't have it, then who does, Izuku? I do, Setsuna said with a smile, and all eyes turned towards her. It was right after Speedy Gonzales over there said that they put the 10 million point headband on the bottom the first time we tried to get it back. I then sneakily detached 2 fingers from my cuffed hand and used them to take it back as Bakugo crashed through the ice wall. Setsuna smirked as she twirled the headband around her finger. Then, even after I got the headband, I used my amazing acting skills to act like we still didn't have it to make sure that no one went after us. Thank goodness I got it back before Todoroki mixed the headbands up, otherwise I might not have ever gotten it. Setsuna went towards her team to reattach her hand. Izuku smiled in relief and let out a sigh. Thanks so much, Takage. Don't know what we would have done without you. Yeah, that was great. Glad to know that my classmate is so skilled. Kamakiri gave her a thumbs up. Aw, you're making me blush. Setsuna acted shyly but looked pleased by the praise. Thanks to the last-minute save from Takage Setsuna, Team Midoriya takes first place for the second round, Present Mic. Bakugo and Todoroki both frown in displeasure, while the crowd cheers. Before we continue, let's get those handcuffs off, and then we can announce who will be moving on to the next round. Midnight then has everyone line up. Once that was over, everyone stayed next to their team members waiting for the results. Now the teams that have dropped out are no, that would take too much time. Present Mic was cut off by Aizawa, who then takes over. Since there are so many teams, I am just going to show on both the screen and hologram the students who will be moving on. Aizawa then presses some buttons and a list of names appeared. The students looked to see if they could find their names. I know that my team will make it to the next round, but I want to know who I will be going against in the next round so I can prepare to face off against them. Izuku's eyes scanned through the names. Midoriya, Kamakiri, Takage, Bakugo, Kirishima, Todoroki, Ida. Ashido, Zoro, Yaoyorozu, Hatsune, Jiru, Shinso, Aoyama, Ojiro, Shota. The ones who saw their names cheered, while some of the losing students grumbled that they lost. Most of the winners are people I know except for Shinso. The general course student who declared war on us and Nyaranjeki Shota, who is from Class 1B. Izuku looks over to Shota. Nyaranjeki Shota is a chubby young man of average height with short, ice blue hair and a round face. He has large, wide eyes with small pupils and his eyebrows are almost always pointed upwards. Surprisingly, he was partnered with a Jiro. I thought Hatsune, Shinso, and I would be the only ones who partnered with others outside our class. Though Hatsune and Shinso had no choice since they are the only ones from their respective class. I wonder why Ojiro teamed up with him. Izuku. The names being shown will be moving on to the final round. But I think a quick break is in order to help you kids regain some energy and let those in the crowd stretch their legs. We will resume in 15 minutes and don't be late. Midnight gave a wink before stepping of the stage. Hey, Ochako yelled out and waved to Izuku and the others to get their attention. Congrats on winning. Sue and I tried our best, but we had out points taken near the end. Ochako pouted. It really wasn't easy. I tried using me Tog to grab headbands, but everyone kept attacking it and it now kinda hurts. Suyu gave a small frown and holds her Tog. It was quite rough indeed. If it wasn't for Hatsume's inventions, we might not have made it. Momo. My babies are the best after all. May gave a proud smile. I heard that the fights Green was in were just as bad since most teams were after him. Jiru. I admit I had some surprises here and there, especially when Ida pulled out that hidden move of his. Izuku grinned at Ida. Yeah, I can't believe you hid something as crazy powerful as that from us. Ochako ran in place. Hiding it wasn't my intention. Because of its backlash, I just haven't used it yet. But I was in a perfect scenario to use it for the first time. Ida explained while doing arm chops. Hey, we should probably head to the cafeteria to get some food before it gets too crowded. Jiru points out. You're right, let's go. Izuku takes a step forward until he hears someone call his name. Midoriya. The group turns to see Todoroki with his usual frown on his face. Can I talk with you for a second? Izuku raises an eyebrow but decides to go along with him. Sure, I will catch up to you guys later. Izuku waves to them before heading into one of the tunnels with Todoroki. What do you think that's about? Asterisk ribbit asterisk, Tsuyu asks, but everyone shakes their head and shrugs. Unbeknown to Izuku and Todoroki, Endeavor and Iro also went to a secluded place to talk. When Izuku and Todoroki were in a good enough spot away from anyone, they stood there in silence for a few seconds. You know, when someone asks to talk, they actually talk. Izuku deadpanned. Todoroki looked at him and then to his left arm. I got overwhelmed back there and I broke my promise to myself. Is he talking about when he created the fire on his left arm to defend himself? Now that I think about it, I have not seen him use his fire even once before now. Izuku. I unconsciously used my left side when facing you since you have an overwhelming pressure emanating from you. But I have felt that pressure before, when All Might punched the Namu's head out of the Asche and when we went back to finish our rescue training and he fought the class. Todoroki. Izuku's eyes narrowed. What are you saying? Midoriya. Are you All Might's illegitimate child? Todoroki said straight-faced. Izuku was silent for a moment before he started to crack. PFFT ha 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 wait, you think I'm All Might's son? That's crazy. Ha ha ha. Izuku laughed for a few seconds while Todoroki just stood there waiting for him to finish. Oh my no, I am not his son. I don't know why you thought that. Izuku wiped some tears from eyes from laughing too hard. Because you two are very similar and All Might has his eyes on you. Todoroki reasoned, causing Izuku to get serious again. I mean, our quirks are similar, but that's kinda a huge leap to think he is my dad. Izuku was trying to keep his cool, but internally was worrying. While his first theory of us being related is wrong, he did notice that All Might and I are close. Izuku. No, you two have been talking after the Usch incident. I heard your friends talking about how he asked to talk to you during lunch. Even if he isn't your father, the number 1 hero is interested in you. As you know, my father is the number 2 hero in Devour. Since you are connected to the number 1 hero, I have more reason to crush you." Todoroki's face turned angry and determined. Meanwhile, Endeavour and Iro have relocated at a stairwell. "What was it you want to talk about, Iro?" Endeavour sighed as he built up the courage to speak. "You may remember from when you trained me that I would often say I would become the next number 1 hero. Yes, you kept pushing yourself every time I trained you. I remember you came to me to train you since my quirk gave me control over fire and I was one of the best fire quirk users around." Iro thought fondly at the memory. "Sadly, to this day I still haven't beaten him. No matter how many crimes I stopped or how many villains I capture, I am still only second best." Endeavour frowned. Iro frowned too at what his old student said. Endeavour didn't give Iro a chance to respond, however, and kept talking. "Over time I grew too frustrated that I still haven't beaten him that I overworked myself until I made a mistake. I almost let a villain get the better of me and almost beat me, but thankfully one of my sidekicks was able to stop that. That incident made me take a step back to reanalyze my goal. I have forgotten what you said about how a body needs rest to perform at its best." Endeavour: "But of course, rest helps keep a body going and can even help heal a soul and spirit during troubling times." Iro smirked. Endeavour smiled at the response. "I was troubled indeed. I took some time off from heroing and focused on rest. Then one day my family had set up a meeting with a business friend to have me meet their daughter. They were trying to have us meet and maybe marry each other. I didn't want to, but was forced by my father since I never had a date and was most likely going to stay single. I agreed to quickly get it over with, but at the moment I didn't know that my father was trying to set up a quirk marriage." Iro frowned when he heard this. "Isn't that when 2 people marry each other in pursuit of producing offspring with powerful quirks? Isn't it also illegal?" "Yes, and my father was secretly setting up this meeting in hopes of that. Thankfully, when I found out about that, I took over our business and forced him away from my family. But let's not dwell on that." Endeavour: "Back to the story. I was reluctant to do the meeting, but then I meet her, Ray." Endeavour smiled again. "Instantly I changed my mind about the meeting and was now interested. She was so beautiful and left me at a loss for words. Ray and I were then left alone to talk, and while it was awkward at first, we got comfortable with one another. She was so smart and funny, and her quirk was interesting too. It was the opposite of mine. She could create ice while I created fire. It was one of those weird opposites attract situations. We enjoyed talking to each other so much. She then told me that she also didn't want to do the meeting but found herself surprisingly enjoy it." Endeavour closed his eyes as he remembered. "Our interaction was so great that I asked if she would like to meet up again. She said yes, and not too long after, we were dating. Then after 2 years of dating we got married." Endeavour stopped as he remembered that he needed to ask Iro for advice. "You told me this already. Heck, I was even there during your marriage ceremony." Iro smirked as he saw Endeavour get lost in La La Land. **right. Sorry, I just forget where I am when thinking about that moment." Endeavour shook his head and went back to business. "Even though I took a break, that didn't stop me from wanting to achieve my goal of being the number 1 hero. I continued to train myself, but now I made sure to rest, especially now that I was married and had children. I still fought hard for my dream, but I couldn't help feeling desperate. Even with breaks and resting, I couldn't fight off the feeling that I would never surpass All Might. Then one day, my oldest son Toya told me that he wanted to be a hero when he grew up." Endeavour: "That was when I had a revelation that I may not be destined to be the number 1 hero. But Toya had a stronger quirk than mine, and maybe he could be the next number 1 hero. My goal had changed. I now wanted to help Toya surpass myself. to surpass the limits I have reached. Endeavor. My father is obsessed with becoming the next #1 hero, but All Might is too powerful to catch up to. However, that didn't stop my father and thought that if he couldn't do it, then his children could. Todoroki. What do you mean, Izuku? My older brother, Toya, told our father that he wanted to be a hero when he grew up. That must have given my father the idea to train his son to beat his rival, to become stronger than All Might. My father then trained Toya for the next few months. From what I have seen, it was grueling, and near the end my brother looked possessed. He didn't look normal, like there was something off about him. Todoroki. Then one fateful day, my brother was training in the mountains and his quirk went out of control. His quirk caused a forest fire that had trapped him there, and he couldn't put it out. That was the day my brother passed away. Todoroki said somberly. Izuku's throat went dry after hearing that. He didn't know what to say or know if he should say something. My family were really sad when that happened, but my mother grieved the most. Seeing my family so sad at this made me want to do something. I wanted to protect them so that another incident like that never happens again. So, I told my mother and father that I wanted to be a hero and become strong enough to protect them. Todoroki. My father then started to train me. He pushed me harder than he did with Toya to ensure that I never lose control like he did. There were times it was so harsh that I would puke and pass out. My mother was so distraught that my father would do this, especially after Toya's passing, that she couldn't be near him. Todoroki scowled. She stayed in another room and stayed away for long periods of time. Then there was a day I went to talk to her since I missed her. She was making tea at the time, and when she heard the door open, she must have thought that I was my father because she threw the boiling water in the teapot at my face. Todoroki placed his hand over his scar. Izuku went pale and felt his blood being drained from his body. Why are you telling me this? So that you know why I never use my left side. I refuse to use it as revenge against my father. Because of him my family is so broken that I resent his blood in my veins. I refuse to use his quirk and I can become a better hero than him by only using my mother's ice. Todoroki then looked at Izuku. However, you made me accidentally use his quirk because of how strong you are. Not only that, but you have a connection to All Might, rival to Endeavor. If I want to become a better hero than him, then I need to beat someone who is similar to All Might. Sorry that I am dragging you into this, but I will rise above you using only my right side. Thank you for your time. Todoroki then started to walk away. This is crazy. I never thought I would hear a story like this today. But I can't let Todoroki continue like this. Izuku then turned around to face Todoroki. Wait! Todoroki stopped and turned his head to look back. I have worked too hard and had help from those close to me to make it this far, so I can't lose. My reasons may not be as great as yours, but they are good enough for me. I aim to be the world's greatest swordsman and next #1 hero. This is my declaration to you. Izuku holds his fist forward. Todoroki doesn't say anything and just walks away. Izuku starts walking the other way to think by himself for a moment and heads up some stairs. However, Bakugo was hiding behind the corner listening to the whole conversation. So that's half and half's deal. Well, that doesn't change what I am aiming to do. I'm going to be the one who wins this thing. Bakugo then walks off. Enji, I don't believe you have hit your limit. I think you are just struggling over a hurdle that you have yet to overcome. Iro looks at his student with sympathy. I don't know. Try as I might, I may have gotten stronger, but I am no closer to my goal. I thought that maybe Toya had what it takes to overcome what I could not. But sadly, he never could have his chance. Endeavor frowned. I heard about that, how he was caught in a forest fire. I'm so sorry that happened to you as well. I know what it's like to lose your son. Iro somberly remembers his own son's passing. I forget that you understand my pain. However, there is more to the story than what was reported. Endeavor. What do you mean, Iro? You see, I started to train Toya when he said he wanted to become a hero. I tried to take it as slow as I could so that he didn't overstrain himself. In order to understand his limits, Ray and I took him to a doctor to find out more details about his quirk. We knew it was a stronger variation than mine, but it would still be better to know everything that we could. But what we learned was troubling. Endeavor. His quirk was more powerful than mine, being able to create fire hotter than mine. The problem was that he inherited his mother's ice resistance and not my fire resistance. He couldn't withstand the fire he created and risked burning himself if he used it. Endeavor. In fact, the risk of burning himself was so great that the doctor recommended that he shouldn't try to become a hero. Toya was very upset at that and tried to deny it, saying it wouldn't stop him from being a hero. I foolishly continued to train him, maybe in hopes that he could build a resistance if trained enough. Endeavor. The next problem was that Shoto's quirk soon started to appear. His quirk, half hot and half cold, meant that he didn't have the same weaknesses that Toya and I had. He could create fire on his right side and ice on his left. That meant that he could cool himself down if he got too hot and vice versa. Endeavor explained. How was that a problem? Sounds like he could be a strong hero with a quirk like that. Iro. It's because Shoto's quirk was perfect to help him become a hero and would not have the same weakness Toya and I have. That made Toya very jealous of his brother. He would scream how it's not fair when training his quirk and gave Shoto mean looks. Shoto was too young to know or understand what was going on, but I was afraid that he would soon start to think his brother hated him. So, I had to keep Shoto away from Tenya when he was training. Endeavor shakes his head. However, Toya would use that jealousy to fuel him to train harder. He constantly burned himself to the point where I had to use the fire extinguisher on him multiple times. To make matters worse, I found out he would train in secret and hid the burns he got from the secret training. I made the hard choice of telling Toya that he couldn't be a hero and told him he couldn't use his quirk anymore since it hurt him too much. Endeavor. You did the right thing. He couldn't continue to have the mentally to think it was okay to hurt himself to use his quirk. But sadly, I know the end of the story. My guess is that he accidentally created the forest fire. Iro. You are right. Toya continued to train in secret after I told him to stop. The fire was so strong that all they found left of him was his lower jaw. Endeavor had a lone tear fall from his face. NG, Iro. Sorry. Endeavor quickly wiped away the tear. That was a hard day. However, there are more events that happened after that. Iro motioned for Endeavor to continue. Rei was of course upset at the loss of her son. Everyone was. That made Shoto want to become a hero, to give him the strength to protect the rest of his family from sharing a similar fate. I saw this a way to do better than what I did with Toya, but I made things worse. Endeavor. Unlike with Toya where I was slow and careful, I was harsher in training and acted more like a drill sergeant. I overcorrected myself when it came to training. Shoto and Rei wasn't happy with the direction I took. We started fighting more and we stopped sleeping in the same room. Endeavor frowned. With one bad thing after another, Rei couldn't stand to look at me anymore. I honestly can't either. Then as Rei was in her new bedroom making tea, Shoto entered to see her. Rei turned to see who entered and accidentally knocked over the boiling water onto Shoto's face. Endeavor grimaced. Iro almost choked on his spit in surprise. That was how he got that scar. Yeah, Rei was so sorry that she hurt Shoto and started spiraling out of control in depression. After we took Shoto to the doctor, Rei and I talked. She said she needed to get away from everything and needed therapy, which I agreed to. She packed up her things, said goodbye to the kids, and checked into a hospital. I haven't seen her since. All I can do for her now is pay the hospital bills and give her enough money to make sure she has everything she wants and needs. Endeavor. Shoto meanwhile blames me for what had happened. that I caused her to hurt him and made her go away. I can't say he's wrong though, and he now resents his left side. He chooses to no longer use his fire and wants to show that he only needs his ice to become a hero. But that will only limit himself and possibly get himself and others hurt. I tried telling him this, but he won't listen. What do I do, master? Endeavor looks to Iro. Iro crossed his arms and took a deep breath. That is a lot to dump all of a sudden, you know. Give me a second. Sorry, but in order to help, then you need to know the reasons and backstory. So far, everything has been one moment after another, and it's driving me insane thinking about how I can fix it. Endeavor clenches his fists. Maybe that's just it. You can't fix it, Iro. Endeavor snaps his head to stare at Iro in disbelief. But how? What do you mean? I need to fix it, and you saying it can't? No, I'm saying maybe you can't, but maybe someone else can. Iro stares back at Endeavor. Please explain. I don't think I can handle one of your brain-teasing philosophies. Endeavor massages his temples. We are only human, and humans aren't perfect. We have problems, struggle, and have many faults. No one man can handle everything, and before you say All Might can, he can't. He can protect others, but I bet he doesn't know how to build a house or perform surgery. Iro smirks as he stops Endeavor from interrupting him. However, that's the thing. No one man can do everything. You can get a lot more done when you ask for help when you need it. Iro. But I am asking you for help. I need to know what to do to help my son. Endeavor frowns. I forgot how Master's words of wisdom can be so confusing. Again, no. You are asking me what you should do, and I'm saying to get outside help. I cannot fix this, and heck, I even had a problem, and someone came to help me. Iro smiles from remembering the time Izuku cheered him up. What your son needs is for someone to smack some sense into him, but if he won't listen to you, then someone he will listen to. Maybe a teacher, a classmate, or one of his siblings. Someone who you need to find, and it can't be me. I am your old teacher, so he might think I'm siding with you and he won't trust me. Iro explains. You are right. Endeavor sighs. Master may rant for too long, but he has a point. If Shoto won't listen to me, then I need someone he might listen to. Maybe I can talk to his teacher or Fayumi. Natsuo will most likely not help me. Endeavor thinks for a moment before the image of Shoto fighting Midoriya came to mind. Maybe Master's student. While they did fight, that was mostly because they are competing in the sports festival. And since he is Master's student, he must be a good kid. Endeavor's eyes widen as he remembers the last event. He even made Shoto use his fire because of how strong he was and the pressure he put onto him. While Shoto looked like he did it unconsciously, he did use it. Thank you, Master. I think I know the perfect person to ask for help. Endeavor bows before taking his leave. Iro smiles, happy that Endeavor may get to help his son. Iro started to walk down the stairs until he bumps into a familiar face. Uncle Iro, Izuku grins as he stumbles upon his sword teacher uncle. Izuku, good to see you, Iro hugs Izuku. I saw your performance so far, and you have been doing great. I'm just trying my best. Izuku scratches the back of his head. Iro, however, sees something is bothering his student. Is something troubling you? Can't hide anything from you. I just finished talking to my classmate Todoroki, and there is something going on with him that I want to help him with. Izuku sighs. Interesting. I too just talked to his father, Iro. Wait, why did you talk with Endeavor, Izuku? Because he used to be a student of mine and needed some advice. Iro says plainly. What? Endeavor used to be your student? How did that happen? And I don't remember ever seeing Endeavor use a sword, Izuku exclaims in shock. Actually, I didn't teach him to use a sword. I taught him how to better control his quirk. Iro. Oh, that's right. Your quirk allows you manipulate fire and bend it to your will, but cannot create fire. Naturally, you would have tips for controlling fire. Izuku slaps his fist into his palm when he figured it out. Correct. A long time ago, Endeavor came to me when he was struggling on trying to improve his quirk. I trained him until he was able to overcome the problem he faced. He still likes to talk to me and asks for my help when he needs it. By the way, what is going on with his son? Iro asks, but already knows what's going on. Well, I do trust you, but can you promise to keep this a secret? Izuku asks, and Iro nods his head. Then here is what's going on. Izuku retells his earlier discussion with Todoroki while Iro listened quietly. Iro then surprised Izuku by telling him what he and Endeavor were talking about and how the two separate conversations were linked. Wow, I didn't expect that our two conversations would be related. Izuku. It's funny how the world works sometimes, he. Iro chuckles. Yeah, but it helped me understand what I need to do. Thank you, Uncle Iro. Izuku grins. I wish you luck, with both helping your classmates and for the final event. Iro gives Izuku a quick hug. Thanks. Now I need to get some food before I have to go back to the field. Later, Izuku dashes off while waving goodbye. Iro waves back with a smile. Please help them, Izuku. I know you can. Izuku made it to the cafeteria and was able to snag some rice balls and ate them fast. Once finished, he looked for his friends and found Momo stomping away in a huff. Yeah, Momo, what's wrong? Izuku went over to see what's wrong. Oh, Midoriya, sorry, it's just Mainta and Kaminari just tried to trick me just now, Momo said with a frown. What do they try to do this time? Izuku frowned too. Apparently Yua hired some cheerleaders from America to liven things up for the final event. Those two heard about this and thought of a plan to trick me and the girls. They said that Aizawa wanted the girls to dress up in cheerleader uniforms and help the cheerleaders. I obviously didn't fall for it, but that is why I am angry. Momo. *sigh*, those two idiots. Let me go teach those two a lesson really quick. Izuku rotated his arm to loosen his muscles. Thank you. However, there is no need. I already punished the two, so let's go back to our friends. Momo smiled and grabbed Izuku's arm. Oh, okay, Izuku. As they walked away, Kaminari and Mainta were behind the corner twitching in pain with metal bats dented around their heads. After they tried lying to Momo, she scolded them, created 2 metal bats, and hit them over their heads with them, then walked away. I blame you for this, Kaminari hissed through the pain. I thought it was a good plan, Mainta squeaked out. After a few minutes, the students finished their meal and went back out onto the field. The crowd also came back to their seats and Midnight walked up onto the stage. Welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed the break. Let's get back into the action and find out what the final event will be. Let's spin the wheel. Midnight spun the hologram wheel again. It spun around until it was about to land on an event, but fake glass cracks appeared. The cracks grew and shattered, revealing behind the wheel was the word tournament in bold lettering. Of course it's a tournament. Yua doesn't end it any other way. Midnight yells and the audience roars in excitement. While I think it's cool to be doing a tournament, does Yua always do a tournament for the final event, Kirishima? Kinda. They always do a head-to-head competition, but they change the format every year. Like in last year's sports festival, it was foam sword fights. Zoro. I would have enjoyed doing something like that. Izuku looks down at his sword. If that was the case and I was facing you, I doubt I would enjoy it. Jiru commentated while Izuku just smiled in response. This will be your standard bracket tournament that will be one-on-one. The rules are very simple. You win by knocking out your opponent out of the ring, immobilizing them, or getting the other to say they give up. Also, in these fights there is no such thing as playing dirty. If you can only win by hitting below the belt, then go ahead, Midnight said sadistically. Geez, this tournament sounds rough. Mina said what most of students and audience were thinking. Well, obviously you can't go too far. No killing, no maiming, and no more fighting if someone gives up. That will earn an instant disqualification. You are aiming to become heroes, and heroes don't fight that way. Midnight explains, making those who were nervous about how bad it would be breathe easier. To decide the bracket, we will be drawing lots. Will Team Midoriya please step? Wait! Midnight is suddenly stopped by Ojiro. Ojiro had his hand raised high, and once he has everyone's attention, he puts it down and steps forward. I would like to drop out. Ojiro nervously says. Everyone is confused on why he wanted to drop out, and Izuku walks up to him. Why do you want to drop out? This is your chance to get noticed by the pros and impress them. Why waste it, Izuku? I don't have any memory of what happened in the handcuff battle. I didn't know what was going on until the end when I somehow got shaken out of whatever stupor I was in. Ojiro looked down. I know this is my chance to get noticed, but I can't. All of the other winners got here by working hard, but I got here without knowing why or how. I can't in good conscience partake in the final event when I didn't earn it. Ojiro clenched his fist. Don't say it like that. Just prove yourself in the tournament, Toru. Yeah, from that logic, then I shouldn't be here either. But I will use this event to prove my strength, Mina. It's not that simple. I would just be failing forward, and my pride won't allow it. Ojiro argued back. Shota then walked up and raised his hand. I would also like to drop out. I can't remember what happened either, and to participate in a contest of skill when I didn't do anything is against what the sports festival is about. I want to withdraw as well. Izuku was surprised to hear this, however, he understood where Ojiro and Shota was coming from. There was no honor in taking part of a grand event when you don't know how you got there. Shinso heard this and just clicked his tog. And here I was throwing you a bone for helping me earn points. I needed help to get the other teams hypnotized to earn enough points, and when team were being made, I picked you and the Class 1B kid to be my little helpers. I was even kind enough to let you two get enough points to win, but now you two are wasting it. Midnight closed her eyes as she thought about what to do. You two are very naive. I like it. Midnight's eyes suddenly snap open. Some of the students were weirded out that she said she liked the naivety, but just rolled with it. I will allow you two to officially withdraw, but we will need replacements, and the team with the next highest number of points is Team Kino. Midnight points her whip at Kendo. Oh, if it's going to be like that, then can these two participate instead? Kendo points to Tetsutetsu and Ibera, who both are shocked to hear her recommend them. My team only got those points when we worked together with our classmates, but they were the ones in the front lines. They worked the hardest and would make the most sense if Team Tetsutetsu goes on ahead. Kendo. I will allow it. Midnight announces, causing Tetsutetsu and Ibera to light up. Thank you, Kendo. I promise we will do our best. Tetsutetsu's eyes start to water. I make that promise as well. Ibera bows. No problem. This just feels right. Kendo smiled. Ojiro nodded, happy he was able to give those who deserve it a chance to shine. He then felt a hand on his shoulder and saw Aoyama giving him a sparkling smile. I promise to win in your place. Ojiro was confused but decided it would be better to ignore him. Let's not waste any more time. We need to decide who will be fight who. Midnight pulled out a drawing box and had some of the winners randomly pick who they will be fighting. Once done, the bracket appeared on the hologram and big screen. Midoriya v Shinso, Kamakiri v Shiozaki, Todoroki v Shiro, Mina v Gyro, Ida v Hatsune, Tetsutetsu v Kirishima, Yaoyorozu v Aoyama, Bakugo v Takich. Now, before we do the final event, we will be doing something else first. For those who feel like they haven't had a good chance to show off, we will be doing some fun festival challenges. Those who participating in the tournament can choose to skip out to save their strength if they want to. Midnight. The hero students that weren't able to participate in the final event and the other courses got happy that they could get a chance to make an impression to any pro heroes. It looks like I will be going up against the Shinso guy in the first round. Izuku then feels a tap on his shoulder. Izuku turns to see Shinso. You're Izuku Midoriya, right? Looks like my first match will be against you. Izuku was about to respond, but suddenly Ojiro clamped his tail over Izuku's mouth before he could talk. Don't answer him, Ojiro said quietly, but with some urgency in his voice. Shinso meanwhile just shrugged and walked away. Ojiro released his tail from Izuku, who looked at him in confusion. Why did you do that, Izuku? Because he is the reason why I couldn't remember what happened in the second event. Here, let me explain. Ojiro gestured to the entrance tunnels so they could talk privately. Izuku shrugs but follows Ojiro. Why does everyone want to have a secret conversation with me today? Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through What If Deku Mastered 3 Swords Style Like Zoro. I hope you found it as intriguing and thought-provoking as we did. A big shout out to GhostKnightTwilight for crafting such a compelling story. Don't forget to check out their profile on Archive of Our Own for more amazing works. The link is in the description below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to What If Deku 2.0 for more fascinating explorations into the world of fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we're always excited to hear your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section. See you guys in the next video.